All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome you all to the regular scheduled meeting for the City Council of Spring Hill, Kansas on Thursday, March 13th, 2025. If you guys could stand with me, Pastor Joel Otwell is here with Grace Community Church to do the invocation.
We ask that you provide, we pray especially for those who are in deep need. Father, for those who are struggling financially, for those who need jobs, for those who are sick, for those who are marginalized, or whatever, God, we just ask that you would be their help and their strength and help us to do all we can to come alongside. Pray for this meeting tonight, that somehow it'll be constructive. All the complexities of leading a growing city. Yeah, we really need your help and direction. Thank you that you desire to you in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do believe Councilwoman Feedback is on the phone, and with that, Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Mr. Young,
Here.
Mr. Peel,
Here.
Mrs. Feedback, Mr. Grant,
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. We did have a request to add an executive session number 4, attorney-client exemption, and revise the name of the consent agenda item number 1 to approval of minutes February 28th, 2025 for a special meeting. With that, are there any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion to second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is the appointment of a city council member. We had several good applicants this time, so thank you very much to everyone that put their name in. It was definitely a hard choice this time around, but this person I'm recommending for appointment is someone that has served in the United States Navy, served our country, also was a sheriff for a while, and just somebody that obviously is, has lived a life of service, and he's just somebody that wants to serve our community here as well. So appreciate him stepping up. It's also somebody that's a small business owner here in Spring Hill, somebody that I think would have a lot to give and a lot of input up here. And that person is Mr. PJ Thrawn. So with that, I'll open up the floor for any questions or comments from you guys, and then we'll take a vote after that.
Kristen. I knew it was coming. No, you can go first. Yeah, I was gonna say something similar. I got to talk to PJ, really good guy, has a great business here in town, and but yeah, I basically have said already that I would support a different person, and I'm not gonna go back on that. So I just wanted to, if you're voted in, I think you're gonna be great. So don't take anything against that, but that's just where I'm at with it. And we spoke, so I think we're on the same page. Thanks.
Anyone else?
I'll just say my piece, I guess. There were multiple candidates that I think would do a good job for this position. And usually the criteria, I feel like appointments are something that falls directly under the mayor's decision-making process. So I try to look at it is if the mayor is presenting a good candidate, then I really don't have any reason to say no to that. At the same time, there can be multiple candidates that would definitely do a good job or potentially do a good job. So we had multiple good candidates, and I think Mr. Throne is one of them, and so I will be supporting him tonight.
I as well looked at all the candidates, and PJ was one that stood out. There, as well as a couple others. I believe we had a lot of good qualified candidates apply. But again, I think that, we want the best person for this job, and just to represent the community and represent not only the citizens but small businesses. And I also support PJ as well. I think he'll be a great fit, being a small business owner, and in addition to his background, I think is also a great fit as well.
And I want to reiterate, this was a hard decision because I do think all the candidates would be really good candidates. So I don't think there was any one of them that I was like, yeah, there's no way. Like they were all really good candidates. So it was a very hard choice. So, any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I second.
Need a motion first.
Oh.
Somebody's got a motion
Right.
first,
Okay.
and then you could.
I make a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of PJ Throne to the vacant city council position.
I second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, that brings up a tie. And Spencer, if you want to let us know what we do in that.
Until we've hit formal council item 1, I can't give you any legal advice. I'm not quite the city attorney at this moment, despite the fact that Lane still let me sit with him. For those of you wondering, we will get there, but I just changed law firms. So what I can tell you is that under the rules of the council, under the city code, they provide that the mayor would break a tie in this specific incident. So.
And so would Glenda then do a roll call on it? Or do I just vote?
You can just vote to break the tie.
Okay. Well, I'll vote to break the tie, and I vote yes. And with that, That passes 302. Welcome to the team.
Mayor, that would be 3-2.
320, sorry, 320. And that will go ahead and, and we can go ahead and swear you in right now. She can go ahead and, if you want to step up here, and she'll probably want to take your picture and all that good stuff, so. And I do want to remind the public that we just recently changed the charter, and so this appointment would go through the next election, which would be this November, so it is a short appointment. And then PJ would be required to run again for the election coming up if he so chooses. We'll get out of your picture.
I state your name,
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and support the Constitution of the State of Kansas
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of city council member
the duties of city council member
for the city of Spring Hill, Kansas.
for the city of Spring Hill, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you very much.
And you can go ahead and take your seat if you're ready.
Thanks, man.
I'll get you kind of.
Oh, yeah, I can.
You got it?
I can probably get it going.
We'll give it just a second to get them all logged in here and.
Yeah, they should have.
That's really the main one you need until they get that sessions, and you don't even really need that.
Sometimes we'll have. Just stick with it.
Good to go, as well as you can be. Well, congratulations, PJ. Welcome to the team. I know you'll do a good job. So yeah, welcome to the team. All right, next we'll move on to citizen participation. This is a time when the public can come in and speak about whatever they would like to talk about. We only have one person sign up, but after that person speaks, if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to step up and say anything, now would be your time. And the first person we have on the list is Mr. Bill Peterman. Welcome back. Haven't seen you in a bit.
Cancer.
Well, that's a bummer.
Bill Peter. I was wondering how many of you people have seen these books?
I've got one in my office on my desk.
Just that?
Yes, sir.
And this
Mhm.
is there any, it tells some interesting things. What brought it up to me was one of the TV stations on the news was talking about the $100,000 grant or money that was donated to, damn.
I don't know that one.
Was donated, as soon as I say money, everything goes up. Was donated to Quindaro and Wyandotte County for their underground railroad. And we all know that there was an underground railroad here that started up at the old city square. The, what do I want to say? The hotel was across the street from that square, and it's where the clergy's house is now, correct? Yeah. So here's the thing. We've got a lot of stuff that's going by the wayside. I talked to Larry Summers here the other day, who's on the cemetery board. And Larry's dad was probably the only person that he knows that was down inside the tunnel before it was taken out when they took the house out and built, or the hotel out and built the house for the clergy. Now, he said a lot of it's all, or most of it's all filled in. Because there's been a lot of times where tractors, farming, fell down and they caved in, and so they had problems getting them out, so they just let it go. Now, it started at that corner, underneath that hotel, and it went all the way out to the other side of 169, where that salvage yard is. And they got $100,000 to clean up. All it was just trees and shrubs and stuff. Now, we can't clean up where the houses and stuff are, but we could probably do something to set that house, or put a sign up there or something, and maybe out there by that, across from the highway or something, and see if we can't get $100,000 to cut the grass and stuff. I mean, that's free money.
Yeah.
And we have a better situation because the first female doctor west of the Mississippi is buried in our cemetery, and her son was shot by Contrails Raiders and then brought back and threw in our streets to show a point because he was a spy, they said. So there's a lot of history there. When these people die, it's gone.
Yeah.
History is only as long as you record it. So if you guys could take the bull by the horns and maybe get something started where we could get some of this stuff. In the church over there is a sign, plaque that used to be on a sign inside the city park on a bench. But all it says in the book is vandals destroyed it, so they took the plaque and put it inside the church. That's another plaque we could put out because we have our fall festival. There could be that plaque out there. Show that we have a town of interest, so people want to stop in here and maybe get a cheeseburger or something, or a barbecue beef sandwich, or gas, or a pizza at Quick Trip, something. Get them to stop here. That's how you guys make money in this town. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, I like the idea. I love the history of Spring Hill, and that book that you mentioned. I've read through most of it because I'm a history buff, and so I talked to a historian up in Olathe that some of his family members live down here in Spring Hill, so he had a lot of information and gave me the book. And then Glenda also, I believe, if somebody, we can make a copy available if somebody wanted to look at it.
Actually, if I may, Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
on our website, there is a history page. That book is available on that page, along with 2 other brochures. One of the brochures has a photo of the mural downtown, and it lists what each photo of is, or describes what the mural is. And then there was another historical brochure that was made years ago. That's funny that you mentioned Larry Sumner, because it's his family, and they look like Little House on the Prairie dressed up with the chuck wagon, and that's a really neat brochure that's also available on our website. And then, speaking of our first female doctor, Celia Dayton Park is named. Celia Dayton was the doctor. We have a park that is named after her, and I believe there's a plaque there that kind of explains who she is. And so we have tried to do some, and then I know the jail down by the police department has some of those. So yeah, it's great ideas to be able to have those focal points. And I think we started the signs to look the same, so it has some kind of uniform. So I could probably pull that for just future reference and stuff. But yeah, so we have a good start, but yeah, these are all good. But if anybody does want to see that book, please go to our website. It's available on there.
And it is really cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drawings and
it's-
pictures and stuff in there.
Yeah, it's 200 pages, so
Yeah, it's a lot.
really some neat stuff in there.
A thick book. And also, like I say, Bill, I like the idea. I think it's also something, our Parks Board is always looking for extra things to do. So it's something maybe we could task them with, maybe trying to come up with some of those historical things to beautify our town.
Have you got any ideas like that plaque that was taken at the build something in the park where we festival?
That'd be a pretty cool idea. Like I said, we could turn it over to the Parks Board and let them know and see what they can come up with. But yeah, I like the idea for sure. So.
seen the doctor's grave and her son's grave. I bet there's maybe three people in here seen it.
Yeah.
Show my hands.
Yeah, there's it's pretty cool to go out to that cemetery because I mean there's headstones that are 150 years old. I mean, so it's kind of crazy seeing some of those. So yeah.
Tell us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, sir. Anyone else? Sure.
Rodolfo Arevalo, 19419 West 200th Street. I just wanted to follow up on Bill's comments. And I guess to bring it home for me, which is one of the things I wanted to see if we could get interest in. We complain a lot about the fact, as citizens complain a lot about the fact that we don't have any business, industry, more places to eat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My understanding is that I think a year ago we were paying somebody to do some groundwork to find or interest people to come to Spring Hill. And I know that the city council also has complained about the fact that we don't have any new businesses coming to Spring Hill, but it doesn't seem like anybody does anything about it other than complain. And so my sort of request was that perhaps the city administrator or his staff could come together and bring up a plan about how we PR the city of Spring Hill. Some of this historical facts that Bill has used could be used in a fold-out brochure that people could take to. All over the country, there's meetings of people that are selling franchises or trying to find places to build restaurants or whatnot, and our staff or somebody on the staff could go to some of those meetings and publicize the city, because nobody's going to drive by Spring Hill and say, hey, I think I want to put a restaurant there. Somebody's got to do a little bit of PR and public relations in order to attract people to this town. And I think some of the things that Bill have mentioned would be nice to mention on a brochure. And if they were ever developed so that people would want to visit Spring Hill, then you could possibly get some interest. Anyhow, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I like that as well. I think that'd be great to advertise our city more, for sure. All right, next item on the agenda is a presentation by the Community Development Department and their year-end report. And Mrs. Long, you have the floor.
Good evening. Pat is sorry he couldn't be here. He started feeling ill earlier this afternoon, so he asked me to go ahead and do this for him. Fingers crossed. What do I do? Okay. So this is the 2024 Community Development year-end report. What'd I do? Oh.
Every time.
Okay, oops. So, staff of community development hasn't changed since 2023. There's 4 of us in there, Pat Burton, the director, myself, the project coordinator, Will is our building inspector too, and then Brandon, our code enforcement officer. Moving on to our 2024 permit activity, I took a comparison from the last 7 years. As it stands now, 2021 was our best year for issuing permits, but this year last year, we came in close behind with a little over 1,100 permits issued for 2024. The permit activity, I kind of broke it down. So our new single family We issued 237, and we had 78 multifamily, which is our 4-unit townhomes in Oakwoods. We issued 90 water development permits, so for those connections that are city water. And then 323 sewer development permits, and then our miscellaneous permits, which is like re-roof and fences and things like that, we issued 701. I do want to point out, oh, and then I forgot to add, commercial and industrial, we issued 18. If you add up these numbers, they are going to be a little different than what the comparison was on the prior page. The prior page included those permits that we issued but are now voided, so I did not include that in this page. Total fees assessed were about $2.9 million. That didn't come through on there.
It's over on the side.
Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Not sure why it's over there.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so 2.9 million, total fees assessed for 2024. This is so moving on to building inspection. So Will, Brandon, and Pat combined, mainly Will, did a total of 2,200 inspections. I broke it out residential for new construction and miscellaneous, like basement finishes and things like that. He did over 1,900 inspections. And I think if I remember 2023, he maybe did 1,000. So we've increased quite a bit on that. Moving on to code enforcement. Oops. Brandon went out and did inspections for violations, a total of 312, and out of those, he issued 189 violation letters. So not citations, just letters. What he tries to do is when he's out there is to knock on the door and make contact with the homeowner or the renter, and if not, he'll leave a door hanger. If he doesn't hear from them in a couple days, he'll go ahead and issue the letter. And I think grass was the highest violation we had, which was pretty much every year. Moving on to the planning side. What's happening? Is it stuck? There we go. Okay. We issued 3 temporary use permits, which are things like the Spring Hill Farmers Market. And like when you see hers out in front, they have their lawn equipment. They are required to get a TUP for that. 3 plats were approved, preliminary plats were approved, 8 final plats, 5 site plans, and then we had 10 rezonings and collected over $355,000 in excise tax on those final plats. And just to kind of also add one thing that I didn't add. So this time last year, in 2024, we had already issued 45 new single-family permits. As it sits today, we've issued 71. So we're on track to have maybe beat 2021's amount. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, any questions?
What did we project for? I know we kind of projected really low for permits this year, didn't we?
For 2025?
Or for 24?
Yeah, we did.
Like, didn't you do way more than we thought we were going to do?
I think we projected maybe 218. Does anybody remember that number?
Yeah, I want to. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe
I thought it was
lower.
like a third
Low
of what you
twos,
did.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's pretty impressive
yeah,
that we had a good year, even though it wasn't a good year in a lot of other ways. But
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
So, no, that's cool.
And this year started out real strong, so
Yep.
that's good. Good news.
On the permit numbers for the multis, it's like 78.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 78 individual?
78 doors. So we have to, so the 4 units, we do each permit per door.
Okay.
Because they can sell them individually.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I was
Yeah, so not 78 for,
not 78 times 4.
right.
Can we go
Right.
back to the very last screen, because it only went on it for about a second?
This one or the one before that?
I think it was this one.
Okay.
It was only there for about a second.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, so these are
I
like
didn't-
zones.
That's the
Yeah, I didn't have any questions on it. I just wanted
Okay.
to see it.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to make a comment. I know you had to jump in late and it's tough to present. I thought you did a good job and
Thank
thanks
you.
for all you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. Next, we'll move on to another presentation. It's by the Public Works Department and their year-end report. And Mr. Spear, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'm really looking forward to the technology here, given what I just saw. We'll see how this goes.
Don't mess it up because Amy did pretty good.
Yeah, put all the pressure on me. So here's our organizational chart for the Public Works Department. We're split into essentially 3 divisions within Public Works. We have a Streets Parks division, we have the utility division, and our facility division. So it's at full staffing, we're at 20. We've been at 19 this past year. We're kind of planning for some change in the future and kind of holding a position vacant as that all shakes out. So our street park division, I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you. Feel free to stop me at any time with questions. So we maintain over 160 lane miles of roads. To really put the growth of Spring Hill into perspective, since 2013, the number of the amount of road that we maintain has increased 68% in that time. So that division completed 190 work orders over this past year, which tracks pretty well. It was 184 the previous year. Sometimes that number isn't always, it's hard to track year over year. You can have a job that is 30 minutes worth of work, and you can have a job that's 3 weeks worth of work, and it's both one work order. So, but looking at the productivity side of things, I think a number that stood out to me as I was looking back through the past year, the crews placed over 500 tons of asphalt in street repair efforts, and that was more than double the amount that went down the previous year. So work orders were tracking pretty on par, but from a productivity standpoint, guys did a really good job.
And I just wanted to jump in and mention something on that. I mean, that's something the council up here and staff as well is really hammered on is the roads, trying to really get those in better shape. So I think it's awesome and something we can be proud of up here for that. We put that amount of asphalt down last year, more than double the year before. And we've really tried to hammer on the roads, and we've got the worst of the roads taken care of. Now, there's definitely still roads out there that need a lot of work, but as far as the worst of the worst, like Woodland, like Victory, like Lone Elm, some of the real bad ones have been knocked out. So thanks to you guys and their hard work, and and the council voting for it. So
thank you, Mayor. And I should also point out, so that asphalt number is what our city crews have done, and that does not include the contract work for those the annual street maintenance project that council approved. So that work is in addition. This is the in-house work. We put a little over 250 tons of salt down. I think we're still a little PTSD from that. We're not that far removed from the winter weather, but it's a little higher. It was about 215 tons the year before that. On the park side, those crews also mow and maintain 110 acres of turf. And we've got 6 playgrounds as well to maintain. On the utilities side of things, there's a lot of numbers here, but so we treated almost 250 million gallons of wastewater. Again, sticking with the theme, I didn't have numbers going all the way back to 2013, but that's a 46% increase in the amount of wastewater we treated compared to the 2017 levels. So again, indicative of the growth of the community. We now maintain 77 miles of sanitary sewer mains, which is a 38% increase over the 2013 numbers. We maintain almost 1,500 sanitary sewer manholes. That's 112 more than last year. Just to give you an idea of how rapidly things are growing. We've got 9 lift stations, had 2 sanitary sewer backups this past year, which is kind of pretty close to our average. We run 2 or 3 per year for the last 15 years. That it may be as high as 6, and as 1 year was 0, but that tracks pretty well. They maintain almost 40 miles of water mains. That's the one because of the water system being in the central part of the city where we aren't seeing as much growth. That water main number is just 6% higher than it was in 2013. A little over 2,000 water meters. They replaced almost 200 of those and installed 157 new ones. So that also tracks with the numbers that Amy just gave you on the permits and the growth that we're seeing. 1 water main break, and that is 19 fewer than the year previous. And I think a lot of that has to do, we really upped our efforts in the area of right-of-way management. The 20 water main breaks in the previous year, 18 of those were boring companies typically installing fiber optic facilities hitting our mains. We changed and I'd say shored up the process, what's required in the way of planning and permitting and requiring companies to find out before they start working what's in the area, where and how, and that's shown up in this year's numbers with just one water main break, which was not from a boring contractor. 41.8 miles of stormwater pipe. This number surprised me. That's a 123% increase since 2013 on the amount of stormwater pipe that we have in the city, and which is now ours to maintain, and which is connected to over 1,600 stormwater inlets, and that's 120 more than we had last year. So again, just speaks to the growth of the community. There's that right-of-way management piece that I spoke to. Permit applications were down significantly. We had 32 of them this year compared to 87 the previous year. So the good news is Spring Hill is well connected with fiber now. Facility maintenance, it's over 50,000 square feet of buildings in 8 different facilities that our staff maintains, both from a repair and maintenance, but also custodial work as well is included in that. We have 2 part-time employees that monitor facility reservations. Those numbers are up over 1,700 this year compared to about 1,600 in the previous year. So the community's continuing to make good use of those facilities. And the aquatic center, which this may seem like a strange place under facility maintenance to have aquatics, but our facilities manager in the summertime serves as our aquatic manager as well. And we had almost 20,000 patrons at the aquatic center this year. That's down almost 3,000 from the year before. I think a lot of that is due, if you'll recall, you may not want to recall, but we were closed for about the first 2 weeks of the pool season last year with repairs. So I think that 2 weeks of downtime is showing up in these numbers. So just a summary. Some of the things that went on, we continued the mayor mentioned that annual street maintenance and repair program, keeping that going, trying to make good use of the dollars that you all give us and cover a lot of ground with that. We've started on the implementation of an asset management work order software program. I hope this time next year, I expect to have a very different presentation with data in better formats and where we can make better use of it. That's underway. We've initiated the process, as you all are aware, to expand the wastewater treatment capacity as we're trying to plan and prepare for the growth that we're seeing in the community. Done a lot of work to enhance the training and professional certifications for our staff. Staff spent a lot of time in classes and gaining certifications and gaining knowledge that will help them in their work. We've inventoried all of the water service lines, those 2,000 plus water service lines in the community. That's part of a federal and state mandated program last year. We've developed and implemented the stormwater utility, if you'll recall from last year, that you all approved to help us prepare for some new requirements that are the city is now facing. Those requirements come, there are costs associated with it, so the stormwater utility will help us fund that. And we began the analysis of looking overall with staff at our operational structure, our staffing levels, our equipment inventory, and trying to find the right mix to maximize the efficiency of the department. All of those numbers that I've shown you earlier, things are increasing at such a dramatic rate. It puts a lot of pressure on us to maximize our efficiency. I didn't include it in the presentation. The one number that did not increase, significantly over those 2013 levels are our staffing levels. In fact, we have fewer employees in the Public Works Department today than we had in 2013. So it's important for us to stay efficient and make good use of that so that we can keep up with the maintenance needs of all of that infrastructure. That's all the numbers I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I just want to say thank you for everything you guys do for the community and working hard, especially when we had the big snowstorm this year, and they were working around the clock 24/7 on that stuff. And then also, like you just mentioned, we have less staff now than they had 12 years ago, but yet we're handling some of the things more than double the amount of work in some cases. So that states to your level of professionalism and leadership to the team, and then also the hard workers that we have. So appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
How long have you been here now? Is this your second year?
Yeah, I'm in year 2. Been here a year and a half.
I mean, I've seen a drastic improvement, so thanks for all you do, and for all your employees too.
The weather getting nicer. Not to bring up a negative.
Come on, man. Come on.
Just going to be sliding into pothole repair soon.
That started.
Always kind of waiting for the nicer weather for that to be a viable fix.
That started yesterday.
Okay.
Nice.
Lots of opportunity out there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we will not run out of things to do.
South Webster, 207th Street, 215th. Those are the ones I can think off the top of my head. I know there's others, but I know this.
No, I definitely thank you for all you do. I mean, it's definitely an improvement to see just Spring Hill compared to other cities around us, especially in times of need like the snowstorms and just commuting back and forth between the city and here. We have a whole lot better infrastructure, it feels like, as far as handling with these major events and things like that.
Thank you. We're blessed with a very dedicated staff that works hard to meet those needs.
Yeah, during the snowstorm, you could literally tell where our city limits ended. Because you could immediately see the amount of snow on the roads past our city limits, once we got into the county. So, yeah, it was impressive. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. These are items that the staff considers to be routine maintenance, but if anyone had any questions or comments up here, now would be the time. If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
She's still there. She's gone. Okay. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action. And the first item on the agenda is consider approval of appointment of Spencer Lau as the city attorney. And Mr. Massey or Mr. Lau, you have the floor. Whoever wants to take it.
I'll cover it.
I don't like talking about myself.
What, an attorney that doesn't like talking about themselves?
Mayor, governing body, before you this evening, we have a contract agreement with our ex-city attorney and hopefully our new city attorney. He has transferred from one law firm to another law firm. Therefore, we need to do a new contract. The intent of this would be to hire Spencer to keep the continuation of projects going for the next 6 months. We would ask that there's a couple options that we could do here. One would be to hire Hush Blackwell and specifically Spencer Lowe as the city attorney for a period of up to 6 months. It would be under the same contract guidelines as the previous one. That would give us the ability to determine if we want to continue with him or if he wants to continue with us. It would also give us the opportunity to look at if we want to go out for an RFQ to look at other agencies or look at in-house. So it would give us some time to finish up a lot of these projects that he's working on. And basically, those are the options, would be either to continue to utilize MVP as our city attorney, or to utilize Hush Blackwell, specifically with city attorney Spencer Lowe, or to do some other option as the governing body would wish. Staff would make the recommendation that we proceed with the contract with Hush Blackwell and Spencer Lowe as the city attorney for a period up to 6 months.
And I'll just talk first. I know it would be, I think Spencer's done a great job. I know some of us were around here previously and things were a little rough. So appreciate the professionalism that he's brought and kind of got a lot of things back in order and has done a real good job for us. So yeah, like to keep going with that, but I'll open up the floor to any other comments or questions or anything else.
Agreed. I think Mr. Lau's done a great job for us and would like to continue having his service for us.
I agree as well. I think that just continuing with the services Mr. Lau has provided will be an asset rather than trying to catch people up to speed in the meantime.
Same. Do you need to make an appointment first and then we?
Yeah, so it's an appointed position, so it'd be an appointment and then an authorization for the mayor to enter into an engagement letter. My new firm is still wrapping in what the terms of that will be. You guys have seen something similar because Hush Blackwell has been used by the city before in the past, so there's actually an engagement letter floating around for them. So we'll modify that for these more general city attorney services and bring it back.
So
So would I move to appoint it?
Why don't you go ahead and move to appoint? I'll just bring the full
And then I'll move
contract back.
let you do the engagement.
All right.
So you need to do first.
Well, I move to appoint Hush Blackwell and specifically Spencer Lau as the city attorney.
Do we have to second it? Oh, second.
Yeah.
I thought he was just appointing.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Also have to do a motion.
Yeah, so I'll do
Yeah, and then
I move to approve the mayor to enter into an engagement letter with Hush Blackwell LLP.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Now, welcome to the team.
thank you guys. Happy to be here again.
We missed you.
Next item on the agenda is consider board appointments, and we have a slew of these. There's spots open on basically every board we have. So we'll start first of all with the Spring Hill Cemetery Board, and these are all reappointments. So the people I'm going to recommend being reappointed is Susan Crawford, Marie Haney, and Joy Rose. And once again, those are all reappointments. They've all done a great job on that. And then I'll just go next with that would be the Parks Advisory Board, and one of them is reappointment. It's Alyssa O'Connor. And then we have three new board members that I'm recommending. Brecken Brown, Joel Nesis, and Christy West. And then moving on to the Planning Commission, I recommend reappointing Josh Earhart and Chuck Morse. They have both done a great job on the Planning Commission. And then we have a new member that I'm recommending appointing, Kendra Kravere. She's someone that's lived in Spring Hill her whole life, has been involved in the community in lots of different ways, including being a part of the planning the Fall Festival. So she's done a great job with them. So I think she'd be a great asset. Once again, she's lived here her whole life, knows Spring Hill real well, and has been involved in a lot of things for a lot of years. So that's the person I'm recommending for that. And then last but not least, recommending reappointing Sean Newton as the city's representative for the Recreation Commission Board. So with that, I entertain a motion to approve.
Can we do them all in one, or
I
do we
think so.
We need to remove the Recreation Commission.
Except for, I guess we'll have to do rec separate because, all the others can be one, right?
Do the rec one separate so I can sit out.
All right, I move we approve the appointments for the Spring Hill Cemetery Board, Parks Advisory Board, and Planning Commission that all Mayor Berkey gave.
And second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. And with that, Brian will step out.
Now,
We'll get a motion on the last one once he's out, and we'll come get him when he's done.
all right, I move we approve the appointments by the mayor to Recreation Commission. Or the representative to Recreation.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0-0.
Do you want to have them stand up if they're here? I know we have a couple in the crowd, just so we can.
Yeah, if there's anybody out in the audience, I know some of you are here that was appointed. If there's anything any of you guys would like to step up and say, sometimes people want to, sometimes they don't. So if anybody that is appointed would like to say anything, if you want to come up and just state your name.
Don't offer to Chuck.
Oh, man. 20 minutes. How much time do we got?
Well, after tonight, I think you need to put the timer on the invocation as well, to me. Chuck Morse, 18460 Southbridge U. I just want to say thank you for the reappointment. I think appointing me worked because I have not addressed the city council since being appointed to the planning commission. Been able to get all my words out on those evenings instead. I think it was somewhat of a reluctant appointment 9 months ago, but hopefully I've demonstrated I can be a positive addition. I'm not half as disruptive as you might have feared I would be. And I also wanted to say that I really appreciate the structure of the planning commission and how the city council, or how Spring Hill has 2 county representatives. I think in a growing community, I think it's important where we are moving into rezoning, of rural areas in the county that you have county representation. Sorry, my COVID heart is going crazy right now. Sorry, I'm a little short of breath. But I think, and part of my stump speech usually is that we all live in areas that were once rural. We all live in houses that were once a field. So it's not a question of if an area is going to be developed, it's a question of when and how. And so that's what we are to be good stewards of, and it's about making it compatible and making sure we preserve and enhance those things about our community that make it attractive. So that's our job. So I appreciate it. Thank you, and I look forward to serving some more.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Stand if you're appointed tonight. I know there's a couple. Thank you all for
Thank you.
volunteering. We have a hard time with some of these boards, so I think it's joining us.
Are these all new members? Because I have, if they want to do their oath.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah, all 4 of these out here on New
Yeah.
Yeah, take their picture.
Yeah, get their picture.
Embarrass them a little bit.
There we go. Yeah. What's that? Which one?
On the fritz.
Yeah. Okay, if you.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, sure. So we'll have. Oh, that's fine. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you announce your grievances. Absolutely. I got my quota.
You're making this statement. I know. It's really such a lot.
This is what I usually.
I went home and changed it.
Pretty much.
I'll try and give you.
Just keep it. I go to events.
You should have switched on us. He went.
To the certain years.
Suit there.
If you write down.
You want to see if he became a state representative?
Okay.
I mean, I have it on. Okay.
I mean,
Well, I just have what you gave. What year it goes to. I think so. I think he gave us. Back in small business.
You said he did. Okay.
I think I have it. I think it's 8. Okay.
There you go. Listen, the guy that's the head. It's like his tooth was missing. Like it broke. It was a crown or whatever. And 2 or 3 times. So sharp. Oh yeah, impressed. He said he went by like that. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, and we live. Not a short. Right. They don't do what they want. It's very. Crowd. I will come out and not.
We're gonna be other side, guys. Other side.
I state your name.
I, Chrissy West,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of the Parks Advisory Board
Planning Commission.
for the city of Spring Hill,
for the city of Spring Hill,
Kansas.
Kansas. So help me God.
Okay, so if y'all want to.
Your blue shoes. Let's get out of the way.
Yeah. Every board failed.
I was gonna say, because usually we're short.
Yeah. And they've had to cancel meetings because of that.
Are they still taking pictures?
Congratulations.
Tap the button.
It's my best foot forward. They snuck off there embarrassing.
Guess I should have warned them that they might have to come up front. Well, once again, thank you all for serving. I appreciate you. And there's my microphone. Thank you all for serving. Appreciate each and every one of you. And then also, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe this is the very first time that we've had every single position on every single board and commission filled. So
At least since we've been
at
up.
least since we've been up here. So, and I know, especially like on the Parks Board, we've had to cancel some meetings because certain members weren't available and there wasn't enough. So appreciate you, especially you on the Parks Board. Appreciate you stepping up, and hopefully Jacob and Lane and the guys will give you lots of work to keep you busy. So, all right, next we'll move on. Consider approval of appropriation order number 2025-03-13. And Mrs. Dunn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the appropriation order is generally approved under the consent agenda because there are no items that are beyond routine. Just a little bit of housekeeping since you have a new member. The appropriation order is generally approved under the consent agenda because there's not any items that are either business of one of the members of the council or not routine in nature. Tonight, because Councilman Young received a reimbursement from the city as a refund of a deposit for using the facility, it couldn't be handled under the consent agenda, so you'll have to formally approve it, and he will handle his portion of that.
Yeah.
So with that, are there any questions or comments on that one? If not, I entertain a motion.
I do the motion, and when I do my approval, I say what I have to say,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
So, move to approve the appropriation order number 2025-03-13.
Second.
Can you do your exception?
Do I do it now, or do you have to go, don't you do a roll call?
When you vote.
Oh,
Yeah, just want to vote, yeah.
that was me, my bad. Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Peel,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
I approve appropriation order number 2025-03-13, accepting that I partially abstain from voting on invoices pertaining to myself.
thank you. Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Thron.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor, the appropriation order number 2025-03-13 passed 400. Or I'm sorry, yes, 400.
I'm not the only one that confuses it sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we'll move on. Consider approval of a property, casualty, and liability insurance policy renewal. And Mrs. Jones, you have the floor.
Mayor, Ms. Feeback is back on the line, I believe.
Oh, awesome. You there, Mrs. Feedback? No apology needed. Tell your daughter happy birthday.
Okay. Whew. Okay. So, hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm here to talk about the renewal for our casualty and liability insurance for the upcoming renewal year, April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026. The city is still partnering with Elliott Group to offer that expertise in the brokerage and administration and consulting services. So obviously, they work with staff to make sure that we go out and get multiple quotes for policies to make sure that the premium that we are going to be paying allows for the coverage that we need and then also be a reasonable premium. And then in addition, throughout the year, staff does what we can to pay close attention to management of claims so that things that we can control, we're being proactive against those things. But obviously with insurance, there's always those things that are uncontrollable. So when it comes to property, casualty, and liability, that's obviously industry fluctuations, exposure increases, property value increases. So one thing that's been noted here, as you can see, is that even though the city did have a total insured value increase of about 7.8%, if you look down at the comparison table, our current provider gave us an option to renew with them, and the increase was only about 4.9%. So that was very good. And I didn't put this in here because I didn't want it to make any difference in anything because the numbers can change as well. But EMC is the company that, as long as things go well, they give us that dividend check back at the end of the calendar year. The most recent one that we got for the year ending last year was about $14,000, and we're anticipating for this particular renewal to be about $16,000. And then around February of next year, we'll get the numbers for the next one there. There is another option organization that did provide us a insurance premium option, but they really only gave us for property, so everything else was going to stay with EMC anyway. So then the recommendation is for us to stay with EMC and Alpha for our property, casualty, and liability insurance for April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. That's the recommendation. Are there any questions?
So we budgeted for a 13% increase? So we're coming in well under.
Correct.
Good.
It's always good.
5% is really, really good,
Yeah.
from my understanding.
Especially in the insurance world these days.
Yeah.
Yes? Yes, we have submitted claims to them. They are timely. They offer great customer service. And anytime I have questions about various things, they provide good follow-up on that.
Do you have to go through Elliott or do you go straight to the insurance company for this?
I generally go through Elliott just
Okay.
to make sure we have that central point of contact on things. And then it also frees me up to do other stuff. But there's been, like recently, I just went directly to them for a particular issue just because I was able to do it online.
Okay, all right, cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to improve EMC and Alpha to provide the city's property, casualty, and liability insurance for the April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026 plan year.
Second.
Got a motion in 2 seconds. Are there any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't hear. Miss Feedback, I didn't hear your vote if you're still there. Oh, sorry. Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of agreement with Water One for the construction of connection lines in preparation for a merger of the two systems. And Mr. Spear, you have the floor. That delay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a continuation from an item that we discussed at the last meeting, but just to bring everyone up to speed. So the city of Spring Hill currently purchases treated water from the Miami County Rural Water District Number 2. Before they treat it, that water is drawn from Hillsdale Lake. Water comes from Hillsdale, treated by Miami County Water Number 2. It's delivered to the city at a single point of connection via pipeline that's owned and maintained by Johnson County Rural Water District Number 7. So we got a little alphabet soup going. So with that single point of connection, a disruption to the Hillsdale water supply or to the treatment plant or to that transmission pipeline can jeopardize our ability to get water and deliver water to our residents, at least the Spring Hill residents that are Spring Hill water customers. So also then, in an attempt to provide drinking water to our residents at the lowest cost possible, staff's been working for some time, and we've talked with you before. We've been investigating a water system merger with Water One. So to facilitate that merger, it will require some pipe installations, connections to connect the Water One system to the current Spring Hill system. To do that in a way that will provide ample pressure and volume of water, those connections need to be made at 5 different locations. Now, those proposed connections, while the catalyst for all of it was looking at this potential merger, these proposed connections will provide a very valuable redundancy to the city's water delivery system, regardless of what decision we make on ownership or operation of the water. If we keep doing what we're doing, having 5 additional connection points eliminates that one single point of failure and is much better from a risk perspective. So the specific item under consideration tonight is an agreement that specifies the city will pay the cost to construct those 5 pipe connections. It's currently estimated at about $245,000. We had some discussion last time about the lack of certainty in that cost. They provided us with that estimate, but under the terms of the agreement, the city is responsible for paying 100% of the costs, whether it goes above or below that estimate. We've talked some more with Water One. That estimated cost is not a rough number. It is based on the actual design quantities and contracts that they already have in place with specific unit prices established in that contract. So they're applying those established contracted unit prices to the exact quantities to arrive at a number. Then that estimate also includes a 10% contingency. So they put another 10% on to arrive at that $245,000 number. They've indicated that methodology results in a final cost less than the estimate in 90% of their projects. So they feel that it's a very conservative number, and it can probably be done for that or less. But it's construction, and you never know exactly what you're going to encounter. Just to give you some additional information, if we talked about it last time, if the city were to stipulate a not to exceed cost of say $275,000, that would provide an additional 12% of contingency, over that 10% that was baked in. So just kind of give you an idea of where that's at. That covers the connections. There was also some talk last time, and you all had asked us to provide some more data and some more facts to back up the idea of doing this merger in the first place. So I wanted to bring that back to you as well. A lot of numbers on here again, and apologize, it's a little hard to see on the screen, but what we have is 5 columns that represent, going from left to right. There is what an average residential monthly bill would look like for our current City of Spring Hill water customers, what that same bill, same consumption would look like with the proposed Water One. There were a couple of different options presented to us from Miami 2. One of those, we continue to buy our treated water from them just at a slightly lower rate than we do today, and we continue to operate the system just as we do today. The second option from Miami 2 is a little like the Water One, where they would take over operation and maintenance of our system and bill the customers. And then really, kind of for comparison's sake, on the far right side is the current Johnson County Water 7 rates. Let me back up. Another bit of housekeeping I didn't mention earlier. So in the city of Spring Hill, our residents are customers of 3 different water providers. North side of town, they're Water One customers. Central part of town is City of Spring Hill water customers, and the southern part of the city are Johnson County Water District 7 customers. So you got rates there from all of them. One thing I need to point out, the cursor does not, there it is. So this SDC charge is a system development charge. So under the proposed Water One agreement, there is a fee that the current Spring Hill water customers becoming Water One customers would pay an additional fee, an additional surcharge that covers the cost of all of the infrastructure that Water One already has in place. You kind of think of it as a buy-in, if you will. So that would run for a term of 10 years, and at the end of that 10 years, that surcharge would go away. So what you see here in this Water One column is that monthly bill for the first 10 years would be $46.61, and then at the expiration of that 10-year term, that bill, everything else remaining equal, would drop to $32.89, which would be the exact same number that an existing Water One customer would see for the same type of consumption. So after that buy-in period, it drops down, and every Water One customer would be paid the same rate.
And even with that system development fee, it's still lower than all the others slightly. So
Yeah, it's an economics lesson in economies of scale. Of those water providers listed there, Water One is certainly the largest, and with that size and their customer base and the volume of water that they treat and sell, they're able to do it at a lower cost. And I think it makes good sense to then pass that lower cost and that savings on to our residents and give them the best deal possible, and also getting the benefits of that robust, redundant water supply. Just as we were talking about treatment and where the water comes from, Water One has 2 treatment plants, one on the Kansas River and the other on the Missouri River. So you've got 2 different raw water sources and 2 different treatment plants that are all options. And then you talk about the 5 different connection points between their system and ours that are proposed here tonight. All of those things together gives us a lot more redundancy and security in our water supply than we've ever had before. So I think it's a good thing. It's a lot of information and a lot of numbers. Anyone have any questions?
So on the SDC charge of $13.72, is that based off of 4,000 gallons a month, or is that based off of a resident?
So the $13.72 is a flat amount. So that would be every resident every month would see that regardless of their consumption. And it was arrived at by taking the value of their. So a new customer, if someone builds a new house and becomes a new Water One customer, they pay, there's a set fee, that system development charge. can't quote it to you now, something in the $6,000 range. So every new customer typically pays that. Without getting too far in the weeds, they took that standard system development charge, multiplied it times the total number of Spring Hill water customers, and then subtracted, so they got a really large number, and then subtracted out the value of the Spring Hill water system. We're bringing assets to the table as well. They subtracted out the value of the Spring Hill system to arrive at a net number, and then divided that back out over a term of 10 years to arrive at that monthly fee per resident.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I know, like Jacob said, that's a whole lot of information, so.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that was a ton. I guess I'm just kind of trying to summarize. So it's fair to say this gives us our best options in the future for lowest prices possible for our customers. And also, I'm surprised we've never had a problem with only one source of water, or the limited number of problems that we've seen not have, knock on wood. So I think having a second option or a fail-safe I'm surprised we haven't had that already, so.
Yeah, and we'll put it to use right away because we have with one of the businesses in town doing some major expansion, we have our water tanks gonna be drained to be able to do that. So that's, we're gonna be cutting it close there. So yeah, it's gonna, something that could help create that security in the future, so we don't have to worry if we need to drain the water tank. There's still plenty of redundancy.
Yeah, and I wasn't against this 2 weeks ago. I think we just I don't know that anybody really was. I think we just wanted a little bit more information, and I think this is definitely helpful, so.
Yeah, ultimately our goal is to provide the best water, the best quality water with, for the cheapest price to the residents. So I think this will get us there.
Yeah, I've gotten comfortable with this. We got to meet with Water 2 and kind of hear what they had to say, and this seems to be the best way to go. A couple things I'll say is I just want to confirm that this, along with maybe another 25 or 50,000, is kind of the total cost it'll take to merge with Water 1.
Yes.
Okay. What I don't want to get into is just keep coming back with these over and over for new things. The other thing is I say give them 10% and just go to 270, but that's me. And then on top of that, I don't believe the $32 bill. I've looked at a bunch of water, unless that's only for Spring Hill. I've looked at a lot of Water 1 bills around 4,000 to 5,000 gallons, and they're in the $45 range, which is fine because it's similar to the 46, but they're all on the Olathe side, so I don't know if there's an additional cost to them or not. But either way, it's still a little bit cheaper. I know the water there is good. We've had boil orders and stuff before, so Water 1 doesn't seem to have as many issues, so hopefully Water 1 can clear that up a little bit. And I think quite a few of us, if not everybody, I don't know about you and Joe, but none of us are affected by this because we're all Water 7. So we do take this, we do take this stuff serious, even though it's not something that directly affects us. We want to make sure that we're getting the best deal for the city, the end users, the citizens, and then that, it's going to be good for the long term. So that's all we were looking for, and that's what we got. So
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I live in the older part of town, so it affects me, and
Yeah.
I've got 4 girls that live in the house, so yeah, it'll be good to save
Nothing affects my
every little bit of that
like the kids
water money that I can.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, did we decide on? Do you guys want to get the cap on it?
I'm good with the 275, but I'm good with 270 as well. So
Whatever you guys think, I can.
Yeah, He said that they also have contingency built.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, just do 10%. It'd be 270 then.
Yeah. If
Not to exceed.
Yeah, not to exceed.
270.
Gives us some.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Like I say, they usually go under project estimation, so I think even if we went 270, I mean, hate to go 275 and then they come back in as like, oh, it was 274. So,
I don't think we need to go higher than that.
I do have a question. Is the 10-year on the SDC, is that from the day we start, or is that any new resident, do they get, is it 10 years from when they hook up?
No, it would only apply to the existing Spring Hill water customers that would be coming over.
So new
Start
homes
from the
don't go
beginning.
into that?
New homes don't go in it because they pay the
fee
full
right off the bat.
SEC.
Okay, cool.
They don't get to prorate it out.
All right. All right, sounds good. All right, so, do we say 270?
yeah, I think so. Everybody good with 270? Kristen, you want to give your input on that?
Okay. All right. Move to approve the memo agreement between the City of Spring Hill and Water One for construction of the connection lines and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with a not to exceed amount of $270,000.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. That ends formal council action at this time. We'll move on to a discussion. The first item on the agenda is pool fee options, and Mr. Spear, you're back up there again.
Doing my best to wear out my welcome this evening. So, Mayor and Council, just finished talking about snow removal, and now it's time to talk about the pool and think about fees. So, also staying true to form for tonight anyway, I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you. I think this is a time, staff has talked about this, we would like to kind of advance the way the way people pay for pool fees and season passes. Right now, it's pretty old school. We don't have an online presence, and it's come into City Hall or go down to the pool and pay your money. We can take credit card payments, but that's about as high tech as we've got right now. As we look forward to wanting to take some online payments, we need to do something, or it would help drastically do some things to streamline our fee schedule to make it a lot easier to take those online payments. We did a little research, looked at pools in the area, did a survey with looking at Olathe, Gardner, Lewisburg, Paola. There's a lot of information on there, but I will try to boil it down for you. Our daily fee is just about right in line with the average. In fact, so Olathe, even on their daily fee, charges a different rate to residents versus non-residents. If you take both their resident and non-resident fees and include them into the average is exactly $6 daily admission, which is where we are at. Most cities, don't charge for, children under 3, 2 and under. A couple of others have twilight options, some reduced rates for seniors, things like that. You'll notice on that next series of lines there, the family pass is going away in most area pools. Gardner still has one, and we have one, and that's it. Instead, you look at the next section down, most have gone to just a straight individual pass for each member of the family. Some of the other information on there, resident versus non-resident. I mentioned that earlier, that there's, the one thought process says property tax revenues help support pools, aquatic centers, and parks in general, and therefore the residents who are paying property taxes to support that should get a discounted rate, or should not have to pay as much as someone coming in whose property taxes aren't going to support that same facility. So that's the logic in having one rate for residents, a different rate for non-residents. I will say when we look at our membership, the vast majority of our membership are residents. We aren't, there's not a real in-depth investigative process. If they provide us with a Spring Hill address, then they're probably going to get the Spring Hill rate. As we look at online, it gets even harder. They enter an address. If it's a Spring Hill address, there's not really a good way to verify that on online payments. And I think that's a big part of the reason. Just that administrative effort is why you'll notice most of the communities have gone away from that resident, non-resident distinction. In fact, on season passes, we're the only one of those that still differentiates between them. And the kind of last piece of information in there at the bottom, swim lessons, our number at $100 per session or per block looks a little high. Ours are 8 45-minute sessions. When you look, Lathan Gardner are at $70, but they're 8 30-minute sessions. So, our $100 range is right there in the mix. Paola is definitely the loss leader there. And Lewisburg doesn't do swim lessons. It's by private engagement. The pool facility is still utilized, but they don't get involved in the swim lessons. So that's the survey information and kind of where we stack up. And I'm going to present to you 3 different options. I'm not looking for a formal decision tonight, but some feedback would help us as the next meeting will come back with a amendment to the fee resolution. We want that to be in line with whatever direction you can give us tonight. First is we don't change anything. We leave it exactly where it is, all the rates exactly the same, and the methodology the same. Same distinction between resident and non-resident, household or family pass, and individual passes. So there's a whole lot of information on there, and I won't read it all to you, but that is just mirroring all of our rates. In addition to the things that I talked about before, we have our Riverwalk daily admission and season pass that's growing in popularity, and then we also have our reservations, and I'll go into that a little more later because I know there was some conversation on that last year when we talked about fees. Some of the fine print, some of the discounts that we offer. We offer a 10% discount on season passes if you get those before the end or through April, before May 1. Mentioned the free admission for children 2 and under and seniors 62 and over. Free admissions for dads on Father's Day, free admission for military and first responders on Memorial Day and 4th of July, and a 50% discount for city employees. That's one option, is leave everything exactly the way it was last season. Another option is taking away that resident distinction. So you'll see we're leaving the daily rate where it was, the same group and twilight and all of the same exceptions for free admission and discounts would all be the same. The only difference being that the individual season pass would be $70 and a family or household would be $145. That is slightly higher than they are for residents today, lower than they are for non-residents. The way we arrived at those numbers was taking last year's pool business and said, okay, if we had the exact same amount of business, same number of people buying the same type of passes, what would we need to set that rate at to bring in the same amount of money? And that's that $70 for individual, $145 for the household season pass. And then the third option is even taking that one step further, no resident distinction, and eliminating that household pass and just going to a straight individual pass. No change to the daily admission rates. That individual season pass would be $35 per person. Rather than the 10%, we're recommending a nice round number of just saying for those people that get that pass early before May 1, it would be $30. And all of the same kind of exclusions on the free admission there. So, and just to kind of bring them all so you can see them all three together, there's the current fee structure, that no resident distinction in the middle, and the doing away with the household or family pass on the right. And I've kept those averages from the survey over there on the right, just if you want that for comparison's sake. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Mark is here as well from the Aquatic Center. So if you've got detailed questions that are over my head, then he can help with.
I guess for me, I would prefer to go with either option 1 or 2. I mean, for people like my family, I'm a family of 6, and that just makes it pretty pricey for.
I was gonna say that's a massive.
So for large,
you have
and
a
almost,
family of 6.
yeah, it almost penalizes a large family. So, and I think a lot of large families utilize the pool passes. So I'd love to keep the family pass because I do think it's utilized by a lot of people. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I have a question. I agree with you. I have a question on the process of when you get those family passes or even just an adult pass. Is it just given to you without, I know like when I lived in Olathe 15 years ago, we had to show our ID to get the resident rate. I mean, is there none of that happens when you?
So, yeah, we have one of those pass holders will take the individual pass, yes.
Yeah.
The family pass, someone there.
As long as you have one person, I would think that's
fine. So, we may get for example, a Spring Hill resident and they buy a household pass and their grandkids that may live in a neighboring community.
Yeah, but they pay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely am for a non-resident rate because I'm not a fan of paying more for our residents so that non-residents can have the same price. That's just not something I'm interested in, but, whatever. But I definitely think C is way too much on the family pass. It's going to be real tough for a lot of folks that use the pool. So I don't think it's got to be 1 or 2, but I still think 1 is probably fine.
Yeah, I like keeping it where it is, personally.
Do we happen to know what the average family was as far as the season pass was?
Around 4.5.
4.5. And that's average?
Yeah, it was.
So that's still more than what the current one is, just more people.
Yeah. Well, and
on C, yeah.
Yeah, and I've had passes in both, Lewisburg, Olathe, Lenexa. So I've kind of experienced all those different type of passes, and I think the 6 is a good number because it does cover the most.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Lewisburg at 30, it did get hectic when you had 5-6 people in your family because everybody had to be there. Whereas like ours, one person shows up and you get the family pass.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea of a family versus the individual.
And I think if we're doing online registration, when they go to pick it up, it would just be the same thing. They verify who they are. One person goes in and verifies. And I know my wife used to register us and I would go pick it up. So I just had to show my ID and they gave us all the little passes back then. So I don't know. I think online it's fairly easy to put a secondary option. I know when we moved to Spring Hill, we had to pay more when we wanted to go to Olathe stuff. It's same way through the rec and everything. So I don't think it's anything that's probably going to kill the IT department if they're doing an online, sign up that they got to pick which one it is.
And I think the online would be great because I've heard a lot of people ask over the years, that it's and make comments that it's really difficult to get a pool pass. And they're like, well, I would get a pool pass if it was easier to get. So I think making it more accessible, I think we will get more people that'll take advantage of it and just streamline the process a little bit.
You will certainly sell more family passes if you have the online purchase available, undoubtedly.
And more people who probably won't use it. So it's one of those, like a gym membership thing.
I would lean towards sticking with our current set of fees. I like resident, non-resident in concept. Coming from the Parks and Rec world and staff that manage things like that, that really is just an added headache. So I know that puts more difficulty on the staff, but it's not an unsurmountable type of difficulty either. And it does kind of set a standard of that we want to give an advantage to our hometown residents. So I want to hang on to this family pass as long as we can.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge benefit for our residents, and I think that's absolutely one that we don't need to even think about raking them over on, and we should always keep that rate low. So
I would rather benefit more citizens and get more people at the pool than be legalistic about.
yeah, the pool is
things
about
and
having people using it, not about making money.
Other question is, I saw the discount said military, does that include veterans?
Yes.
Okay. The only questions I have.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. So if I remember right, that was pretty much a consensus with everybody to keep it how it is.
Unless you have a different opinion.
No, not at all.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Next is another discussion item, and it's about resolution number 2025-R-03, dangerous structure at 409 East Hale Street, and that's one that we talked about, maybe 2 meetings ago?
Yeah, January 9th, we brought this to you. So they had 30 days from the date that we published this, and it was published, I believe, January 15th. So February 14th was the day that they had to have their permit pulled for the demo and then commence work on it. And then they had 15 days after that to finish up the demo. As of today, they have done nothing. Brandon, our code enforcement officer, called them and left a message on February 25th. There was no return call. So I think we're just kind of looking for some direction on how you want us to handle it, because I know when we were here in January, the homeowners were here and you kind of wanted us to work with them, and we're trying to do that. But there just hasn't been anything done. And we know, January with the weather, we were giving them grace period on that, but I think now it's time to start figuring out what we need to do. We have a quote to abate the structure, which is about $6,600 for removal and restoration. So we're just looking for some direction.
Well, I think at least I'll speak first and then everyone else can give their opinion. I think we always try to err on the side of giving them, given the opportunity to fix it. You guys said you've called them, left messages, they haven't even returned the call. We gave them extra time already. We let them, went above and beyond, I feel like, last time, and there doesn't sound like anything's been done at all. And then here we are, 3 weeks past that, 3 or 4 weeks past it?
Yep.
So I feel like that's plenty of adequate time to have done at least something. They
haven't
knock
even
down one
applied-
wall or
Yeah,
something. Take a sledgehammer and knock out a few panels or something.
Yeah, they haven't even applied for the demo permit. And then when Brandon drove by today, all of the belongings from inside the structure are now in their yard everywhere, which is a completely different, whole new set of violations. So.
Yeah. So I feel like we need to do something, I'll leave it up to ideas on what we should do, but I don't think we keep giving them further grace if they're haven't even taken step one, in my opinion. But I'll let anybody else.
I have very little background with this particular issue. Could you kind of give me just
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I think I was gone from the meeting too.
Okay, sorry about that, gosh. So,
And if we have, you don't happen to have a picture, do you?
I do have some pictures I can pass around, so.
And are these current from when he was out there yesterday or whatever?
So these are from back. Then this one, he hasn't dated. So code enforcement officer at 409 East Hale, they have a detached garage in their back that he noticed one day was back in October, was falling down. So we've tried to give them time to fix the situation, and we brought this So in order to deem something a dangerous structure, you have to go through a public hearing, and we did all that. And so on January 9th, this board approved us to go ahead and deem it a dangerous structure. And they were given 30 days to start demo, and then 15 days after that to be done with it.
Is this the one that came in and said their insurance didn't cover it?
Correct.
Okay. And they haven't made any progress since then?
It sounds like they haven't even pulled the permit yet.
They have not even applied for the demo permit.
And so what are our options?
Normally, we would go in and abate it. So Brandon has obtained a quote that's about $6,600 to hire somebody to go in and demo it, remove all of the structure, and then restore it however they need to restore it.
And then will we put that against their taxes?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's the structure, the shed behind.
Yeah, it was a little bit bigger in the shed,
Large
detached
garage.
structure, or detached garage.
It's not the home.
Correct.
Okay.
So they removed some of the stuff that's on the outside, it looks like, maybe?
No, they took everything
They
out.
took everything
Oh,
from
they
the
just took it out of the
inside,
inside,
and
okay.
it's now all over the yard, I guess, from today's drive-by.
Which I would say is slightly worse.
Yeah.
Well, so not only did they not make it better, it made it slightly worse.
Which is weird because they seem to be really,
Yeah, and you
really
were
working on
probably
it.
out, but Brandon did try to,
Demo process, you gotta remove everything from it before you can start doing things.
correct.
So how long did you said it's been out of the structure itself? Because to me, that looks like progress.
That I don't know if it shows in those pictures.
I was gonna say the newest picture I thought looked like there was less stuff outside, but. I mean, the building hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, they've had
That's
the
the
trash, the roll-off there since before we brought this to you guys in January, but
How many adults do they have in the household? Do we know that?
it's just the two of them, I
Just the two of
believe.
them? How old are they?
Huh?
How old are they?
50s
Yeah,
maybe?
they were mid-age.
Okay.
They came last time, so they're.
Yeah.
Right.
We got to meet them.
Again, I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about this, but if we've given them time, they're clearly making some progress. It's not quick by any stretch of the imagination. It's two of them. Providing them an additional period if they're making progress, if we observe it over the next month, give them a little bit more time of warm, dry weather so they can actually make some progress. I think that's a reasonable expectation.
Is there a way to do both? To give them some more time, but also move our portion forward in case we need to do it for them?
I would probably make a recommendation to put a stipulation in, 15 days to pull a permit and 30 days to start. And if they haven't done it within the 15 days or 30 days.
Then we can move forward with our portion.
I'm good with that.
That sounds reasonable.
Because I think we give, a little bit of grace because the weather has been so bad since that.
That's the biggest factor is the
Yeah.
bad weather.
Yeah, if we had this weather the whole time, that might be a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say in the resolution, we did put a stipulation in there that they could ask us for an additional 30 days.
And they haven't asked.
They haven't done that either.
Well, and they haven't even pulled the permit.
Correct.
That's the very first step.
See, I think, giving them the 15 days for the permit, and if they haven't, then we move forward. But if if they do, then additional 30 from that 15 day or from the day of permit, or,
Only if the permit's pulled.
yeah.
30 together.
15 to pull the permit, 30 total to start.
Oh, to start, okay. I think
Once they
that's-
pull the permit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, 30 including.
30 including the 15?
30 includes.
I think we have to think about the neighbors a little bit too.
Of course.
I mean, so I think that seems reasonable. As long as they pull the permit and they do something within the 30 days, then
Basically,
they're,
two benchmarks to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Miscommunication. Does Brandon just go up there?
Yeah, he'll probably just go up to the door, and then at that point, he will probably leave a door hanger, and then we can have him send a certified letter to make sure that they get it.
I would say let's do that. Good thinking, Kristen. That way we've done everything possible. We've given them grace twice, and then if they don't meet it, then I think we plow forward.
Well, I think as long as we give Brandon something to hang his hat on, that's typically all he needs. He does a pretty good job of getting people moving forward.
So we'll have Brandon take a picture of the door hanger too.
Yeah.
It's like a metadata.
It's a lot of,
Okay.
make sure that,
Photo,
that
what was on
we're
there.
doing our due diligence.
Yeah.
And then if just for our knowledge, if nothing happens within the total of that 30 days, do we proceed with abatement?
I believe so.
I think so.
Isn't it?
Okay,
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah, I would do the 15 and 30 on the.
And make very clear the dates.
okay.
Both of those things are, so if either one of those two is not met, then plow forward.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for your input, guys. All right, that ends discussion at this time. We move on to announcements and reports. I don't really have anything. Yeah, so Mr. Young.
I've got nothing except for welcome.
Yeah, welcome. And Mr. Ron, I forgot to give you an opportunity to say anything. So yeah, if you'd like to say anything about joining the team, that'd be your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm excited to get to work with everybody here, get to know you all better, and hopefully I can provide something to the city. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Peel.
One small thing, we've got new art pieces that will be coming to Spring Hill between now and Memorial Day weekend. There'll be a new one going out front here at the Civic Center.
Replacing the exclamation
We're
point?
replacing the exclamation point. It's had 2 years here. The military man at downtown is also going to be replaced with a new piece.
That's my son's favorite.
Yeah, that one's cool.
It's had its 2 years also. And then we have a third new location. We were supposed to have this one last year, and the artist was in an automobile accident bringing the piece here, and it demolished the piece, and it totaled out his truck and trailer. But we've got a deal with him to bring a different piece here this time. So the new location is going to be 199th and Webster. There's a small art pad to the left-hand side of the town sign there that will have a new piece of art in the next couple of months there.
Very cool.
Sweet.
Mrs. Feeback.
Amy, did we get one from 4-1?
220, you're talking about 223rd and Webster?
Yeah.
So that's why we're not bringing it.
Since Pat's out, I'll go ahead and answer that. We received a plan, a partial plan, I guess is the best way to say that. It did not include the items that we have discussed on the realignment of Webster or the ingress egress to the facility. So it was a partial plan. It was not a full plan. I think Pat's been in contact with the developer to see if we can get some additional information on that. So.
Yeah, I think the engineer too. So.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So we gotta start. Need a little bit more, but we'll start.
Yeah.
I don't have a hard date yet. I can say with confidence it will be this summer 2025, but I don't have a date. What the plan is to keep some flexibility. I'd rather than set the locations and find out how much it's going to cost. We're envisioning an annual sidewalk replacement program where we get a price per square foot, and we see where those numbers are, and we can identify the need and set the contractor to work. I think the other benefit to that is if during that process we learn of somebody brings to our attention a location that we hadn't thought of before, but then in looking at it, it has a greater need, or timing wise because of some synergy with another project, it makes sense. Then this would give us the flexibility to simply move the contractor to a different location. It's just a unit price contract. So, and we decide where they go, and we pay them that amount per square foot for whatever they've installed. So that's the theory moving forward. Yes, that contract will have to come back before this body. If you want to approve the individual locations, then we can go back. We can do it like a traditional project where we identify the locations, the quantities, and get a price, and lock that in for the price to do that specific work at those specific locations. We can go that route if that's your preference. Yeah.
I can. Yes, we met with KDOT recently, which I believe, I don't know, the last 2 weeks have been a blur, but I think it was either early this week or late last week, we met with KDOT. We meaning staff and the engineers that we have hired for that project, they are currently working back and forth with KDOT on that project. We had to do some minor tweaks to the design. That'll go back to KDOT for about 2 to 3 weeks. They'll make recommendations back to the engineer, and that'll probably go on for the next couple of months. Once KDOT is okay with the final design, then we would anticipate probably late summer going out to bid that project and hopefully then start construction soon after. We're also trying to work on some additional funding for that project with KDOT. There's a couple processes to go through, and if we're lucky, we may be able to secure a little bit of funding to help with that project. So it's moving forward. KDOT's excited about the project. The engineers are just working through all the specifics. I think it's going to be a great intersection once all the improvements have been made. And there's a really neat little, what was it called, sim traffic? I believe that once we get to the point of coming in here, we'll be able to show you kind of a real neat graphic of what it'll look like.
Cool. Awesome. Long time coming. Got anything?
Just welcome to the team, PJ. It'll be good to have all the seats filled and see what the future holds.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Mr. Massey.
No report.
Mr. Lyle, welcome back.
Thank you. No report.
It's almost like you weren't gone.
Captain Khan. Interim Chief Khan.
I just want to echo what Mr. Feedback said about MAD. It's a great organization. One of my really good friends, it's actually a sheriff's deputy. He's one of the chairs and organizers of that run. I've done that run before. Also received a MAD award. So very good organization. The only thing I've got, a couple meetings ago, we came and presented some life-saving awards. One of the officers that got one was Officer McGill. A week after that meeting, she actually saved another life and received a commendation from the fire department for that. That was a Narcan save. So she is just really exemplifying what we expect of our officers there.
Awesome.
Exciting.
Mrs. Long?
No report.
Yeah, go ahead.
So welcome, PJ.
Thank you.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, we're all fairly new here. So some new elected officials, some new city staff. There's some people that have been here a little bit longer. But one of the things that we've talked about in the past is trying to come up with some way to extract priorities from the city council, try to figure out what the community needs, what the city council needs and such. So we are, with your blessing, would like to engage a consultant to come in and facilitate that discussion. And what that would look like would be some sort of survey or one-on-one discussion with each one of you on city council to find out what your individual priorities, what your hopes and dreams are for the community. And then we would do a one-day workshop, a one-day retreat, where we would have these discussions and talk about key success factors, mission, vision, goals for the community. What does success look like? And then we can formulate that into almost a strategic plan. We're not going to call it a strategic plan, but it's going to be those key success factors. And from those key success factors, then that's going to give staff the availability to start dreaming and scheming of ways that we can find funding, we can accomplish some of these projects and try to get closer to the wishes, hopes and dreams of city council. And then we can fold that into our CIP budget. So it's going to give us a little bit of framework. So for our first step, we would like to engage that facilitator. We've got roughly about $10,000 that we've earmarked for this effort to have that pre-retreat survey or one-on-one discussion, whatever that looks like, have the one-day retreat, and then follow up with a comprehensive report with all those key success factors and have some of those big ticket items, those big rocks that we can accomplish. So wanted to open that up for, this probably should have been a discussion item, but I wanted to get your feedback before we took the next steps.
Thank you, Mrs. Abel. Where would those funds be coming from? Put you out on the spot. I know it's only $10,000, but it's still $10,000.
We have several places. I'll be slightly funny and say from those insurance premiums that are coming in under budget, we'll probably charge it to general obligation or something like that, and then use it where we have budget surplus somewhere else to offset that. Say it again. Right, we do have professional development funds and things like that we can use. We also trimmed economic development funds and some things like that. So I feel like it's in the budget, that we'll be able to cover that with other line items.
Are we locked in at that 10,000 mark? I mean, that seems a little high for a couple days worth of stuff for somebody talking and giving us ideas, but.
I think the number's gonna come in closer to the $7,000.
Okay, that's a little easier to swallow.
Is this like an annual thing you're wanting to do?
I think.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think initially what we were thinking is do it this year. With all the growth that's going on in the community, with all the new individuals on the governing body, this is a great time to have a visioning, not only for budget, but also for what do we want the community to be. This is a good way to get that input back from the governing body right before budget time. We can either do it before budget time or we could do it after budget. We were just thinking that sometime in 2025 would be a good time to do this, possibly in the April timeframe if the timeline worked out for everyone. If not, we could push it into May, June.
I think it'd be better not to do it during the summer when people are gone, vacations, everything else.
We could do it in the fall. I mean, really the idea is to just float it out there, see if the governing body has an interest in a retreat, so that we can have some type of visioning.
I don't hate, go ahead.
I would have one request with this, would be that we need to make sure that city council and planning commission can both be engaged and go through discussion about development issues. Because I think that's been a major gap that we've had.
And
we need to get those two groups together to sit and talk about what's going on here.
And I did mention that to Lane as well, that I'd like to get us both together because sometimes it almost gets pitted that it's like us against the planning commission. I know that's not how it is, but we want to bring those closer together and work as a team rather than us against them or whatever the other perception is.
The initial thought would be at least the first day or first half a day would be with just the governing body. And then the second one would be a follow-up to have the planning commission as part of that.
Here's my thought on it. We have 4 people up here that could possibly be gone in 8 months. So we're going to spend $7 to 10 grand to find out their vision, and they may not be here. I don't see a whole lot of benefit in that. To me, it sounds like something you could probably run here, or do it. I think after an election year, you do it first thing like January, February. So maybe you wait till 26, January, February, and do it. And it may all be all of us here. It may be different people, but at that point, we have at least 2 years to work on whatever that vision is. Because right now, we could start a vision and then there could be a big course correct, right? But I do think the planning commission needs to be involved. I don't think we can do anything without them just because.
And nothing says that we could do them as separate events.
Yeah.
Like, I think we could get this group and planning commission together for some kind of internal.
I think that's probably do it sooner than later, and then this maybe we push out to the first of the year. That's my opinion.
And I agree. I don't think we need to hire somebody at
I think
$7,000 or $10,000. I think we have enough really smart people here that we could come up with something ourselves and put on something to where we could still get all the same input. It might not look quite as professional as far as all the graphs, and I'm sure we could even do that too. But it might not look like the $10,000
sticky notes look pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
But we could still come up with the same end result.
So just as a time frame, maybe April prior to budget, to see if we can get, I see Brian up there kind of.
I mean, there's just never going to be a good time
Right.
with this number of people. So,
But we'll float an email, and just say, if you can let us know what times, like if you're definitely going to be out of town for the month of April or May, let us know that, and then we'll try to piece it together. And
I mean, those be like a glorified, what did we call them?
Work session.
Work session.
yeah, I think we do a glorified work session. It probably wouldn't be in here. We'd probably go over to the Memorial One, maybe serve pizza for lunch or something, and then have I don't know that we do an 8-hour day. We'll probably do it.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be beneficial.
2 to 4 hours maybe, and go through that process.
Yeah, I think a half a day, 4 hours.
Yeah, the first year, I think maybe you jump in. Yeah, we do it with the city staff. If you're like, hey, this isn't working, then next year we look at it. But again, I think a big one after every election is a good idea to find out, hey, what's your priorities? What's your priorities? Because we haven't, I mean, at least since I've been here, we haven't done that. And, it's kind of a throw it against the wall and see what sticks. So,
What does city attorney think about us as far as getting together and having those discussions in a less formal setting? Is that going to cause any conflicts or any issues there?
As long as we put out a notice.
Yeah, we should put
Oh yeah, anytime you get together and talk about matters of the governing body, we just notice it up. The clerk will do that as a notice of quorum. So, I mean, they have to be public hearings or public,
So
not hearings,
maybe
but public meetings, so.
Those meetings could draw public attention. People
Yeah.
probably-
and they're still open, like, people still come. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also maybe even put a plan for next steps, you know, in those meetings, say, here's what we would all like to see the next steps happen, and then put a plan in place to do those steps. Because I agree, follow up. Sometimes I feel like some of these meetings and, you know, different powwows that we get together with the community, they're great. We have great ideas that come with it, and then nothing happens with it. And so it's like, well, dang, I just spent 2 hours talking about a bunch of really good ideas, but nothing ever came of it.
I think we can put together some measurables based on, we come up with 100 ideas, it may be hard to, get performance measures on all of them.
Yeah.
But the key ones, 5 or 10, I think that'd be very easy to do.
One of the end results of that should be a priority-based budget. So you set the priorities for the city, and then you see a budget built that fills those buckets so that you know the money is being spent towards the priorities of the city. We can probably sit here and name some priorities pretty quickly. They're gonna be streets, they're gonna be sidewalks, they're gonna be things, but it's beyond that. It's the higher level vision, if you will, of where we want the city to go. And then build a budget, build a CIP that fits in that budget. I would hope this would help us complete the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
That we've set those priorities, make sure it all fits together, make sure we're budgeting to support and achieve those goals. That's what I hope to get from it.
Yeah, I think if we treat everything like we do cars, I think we do a really good job with the cars program, planning out, hey, this is the higher priority, switching them around. That's not going to be a bad idea. But I do think when people first get on here, we need to find out what it is they're really going for. So I do like every 2 years we get really hardcore, what we want to do and kind of move from there.
Yeah, and I think getting together every year for a smaller, a little powwow and go over everything, and then
and see where things were. Like, did we do what we said we wanted to do?
Yeah,
or no?
what did we accomplish any of the goals that we put in place 2 years ago? I do think we've done pretty good, at least in the last few years. When I first came on, our biggest priority was roads, and we slammed roads for the last 3 or 4 years. And we've gotten a lot accomplished with that. Like I say, we're far from done, but the roads are definitely in a whole lot better shape now than they were 4 years ago. So.
I'd like you to go away with some positive to all of this, which is each year I've stood here and said, look, I need to hear your priorities. We didn't do a workshop, but what do you want to do? And it always comes back to streets and to public safety. And if you look back at our grade card, and we'll definitely be doing that, and you look at what we've invested in the police department and where turnover is and where we are competing with other departments, then you go over to streets, and we've spent many, many dollars on streets, and that I think you're feeling the citizens feel that result, if you will. We're working on stoplights, we're working on a new park, we're really accomplishing those goals. It's now taking it to the next level and investing the money where it needs to be, and then questioning when projects come in here, does it fit in your plan? I think it'll be good. I think you're on the right track.
Thank you, Mrs. Abel.
Yeah, I appreciate all the discussion. So just to summarize, we'll have a work session with the City Council and Planning Commission sometime in April-ish so that we can get together and talk about development. And then we'll look at doing a larger retreat sometime after the next election and do that every other year to line that up with the election.
It sounds good. I
think it's a great idea.
Great.
Do you have anything else, Mrs. Abel? Or?
I do. I have.
All right.
So still working on the SS4A Safe Streets for All program. I don't know if you guys have worked on your homework or not, but every time I tell you, go watch the video, go out to our website, take the survey, push a pin on the interactive map, that is still available to you guys. We are starting to host a few more community events. We held the Hometown Holidays. We had a booth here at Hometown Holidays. We're going to have 2 upcoming events here in 2 weeks from today. The first event is going to be in the morning on Thursday, the 27th. We're going to host that hopefully in the city parking lot off of Hale in Maine. We're going to have hopefully equipment and personnel from police, fire, and public works available to do maybe a little mini touch a truck or at least look at a truck type thing. We're going to partner with the Bean to have coffee and maybe some little mini muffins. We're going to talk about what safety is and recognize some of our hometown heroes and how they help exemplify that safety. The second event is going to be that evening, and that is going to be, again, Thursday, the 27th, from 4:30 to 6:30. We're going to host that at the Johnson County Library here in Spring Hill. And that is going to, again, educate the community on what traffic safety is. We'll have computers available so that we can have people real time fill out the survey, stick a pin in the map, get more information. And then we'll also have some interactive activities to engage the children with a reading corner and some coloring activities. And I'm also working on another community event, working with the school district and their career center, trying to do, again, I'm going to need some help from my project partners here. We're going to try to do an assembly sometime in April at the high school. But we wanted to talk about SS4A and all the great things we're doing with it, but we also wanted to put a creative spin on it and highlight, again, our hometown heroes and what careers and safety looks like. So police, fire, EMS, public works, and talk about their path to how they got to their careers. We can even have the traffic engineers and myself as the city engineer talk about what I had to do to get to where I am today. And then we've got our second advisory committee meeting. So Kristen, mark your calendar. Mayor, mark your calendar for the end of this month. That's going to be on March 31st. And that's going to be from 10 to 11:30. So look for a calendar invite from me. That's enough. I'm done.
I know the website had some technical difficulties. I know when I went back on, I was able to do it, but is it better now?
It should be.
Okay.
It worked for me today whenever I was out there.
Okay.
And then can we make sure, I'm sure you're already on it, but make sure we get that blasted out for those events on city's page, everything else, I'm sure you're already on top of it. Just make sure we can get as much coverage as we can on getting that word out there.
Yeah, I've been working with Kristen on trying to get some of the pull tab flyers to put around some of the public areas. We'll have social media posts. We'll have some graphics that we'll put out there on our website and such.
Awesome. Madam Clerk.
Just want to share a fun little event that yesterday, Mrs. Dunn and actually Mr. Peel and Officer McGill, we were able to attend the Spring Hill Middle School. They had a program that was called Reality U. Mm-hmm. And we had 8th graders from each of the different middle schools, and it was a fun real life, having a checkbook and a salary and learning how much things cost, in a month. And it was a really neat program, but I just want to let you know that it was a neat program for, city employees to, be engaged with the events at the school district. And it was a lot of fun. So
good.
Anyway, so yeah, I appreciate you give us the opportunity to, be involved in events like that. So.
Yeah, I had one of the schools reach out to me and ask if anybody from here would be willing to do that. And I thought it was a cool thing to partner. Anytime we can partner with a school district to benefit the kids, I thought it'd be cool. So yeah, well worth it. So awesome. Glad you guys had fun.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what was that we used to go to downtown where they did a real world thing with the kids in the school.
Exchange City?
Exchange City, yeah. And then now it's like J.A. BizTown or something. Because I went a couple years ago with my son and he loved it. It was a blast.
Yeah. Well, what's neat about this, these were 8th graders, and then when they are sophomores, they're going to do it again. And with the way it's set up is with their GPA is what jobs are going to be available to them. So it just kind of it plants a seed to kind of, realize it. And it was, the funniest thing was they realized what was the most expensive thing, and they realized that kids are the most expensive thing. And so they are all going to go home and tell their parents, thank you.
My wife
And,
both schools in the area.
Awesome.
Yeah, my son said he was going to have 3 jobs to afford what he wanted. So weird.
He visited the Help I Need More Money station a lot.
Yeah.
We bankrupted a bunch of them.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to need
I heard some of them bought some expensive cars and then came back and returned them to
lot of resold used cars.
Did they depreciate after they brought them back?
They were very glad to back full back.
Nice.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Yep, Mrs. Dunn,
No report.
Mrs. Jones, Mr. Spear.
No report.
Awesome. Well, that ends announcements and reports at this time. We'll move on to the first executive session. Do we need a bathroom break before we go into that? Are you guys good to go?
5 minutes?
Probably
5 minutes.
5-minute recess would be a good
Really,
idea.
who's reading the motion?
Me.
Okay, I gotta bring you a new one, because
Number one's not right.
well,
Oh my God. Was that Mr. Lowe? Oh. Move the city council recess into executive session for 5 minutes with a 5-minute break prior minutes, or for the preliminary discussion of acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. Wait, I got off. It's hard to read off this thing. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 9:25 p.m. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance, City Administrator Elaine Massey and City Attorney Spencer Lau.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. We will see you guys shortly.
Is it different? Linda, is this the most we've ever spent on name tags over the last couple months?
The fancy ones. The glass one's better.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened and opened a meeting at 9:25 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 2.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 20 minutes to receive advice of council regarding economic development pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 9:45 p.m. No formal action is anticipated. Following the session, persons to be in attendance are the following: Lane Massey, City Administrator; Spencer Lau, City Attorney.
Second. Give it to
Got a
Mike.
motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. See you guys shortly. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let the record reflect the governing body reconvened in open meeting at 9:45 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 3.
Spencer, it says 10, is that correct?
Yep.
I move city council recess into executive session for 10 minutes to receive advice of council regarding economic development to KSA 754319B2 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 9:56 PM. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Lane Massey, City Administrator; Spencer Lau, City Attorney.
Second.
Got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Welcome back, everybody. Let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened into open meeting at 9:56 PM. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 4.
5 minutes.
Yep.
5 minutes, okay. I move the city council recess into executive session for 5 minutes to receive advice of council regarding personnel matters to KSA 754319B2 with the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 10:02 PM. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Spencer Lau, city attorney.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. See you soon. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened in open meeting at 10:02 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 5. Just kidding. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-4-0-0. Have a good night.